Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So this is lecture 2. In lecture 2 we will cover hyperbole and then some more literary devices, and with this sequence we will cover inshallah ta'ala 28 literary devices, 28 29 literary devices, which is very important for whenever you want to find uh, some devices in literature and as well as in poetry. So they are very important to know about. You should know about the definition of it, and you should know about the usage of it and how can you find them. So that is very important. Okay, hyperbole is the basically the exaggeration for emphasize or effect. Hyperbole is a common and powerful tool in language, often used to create vivid images or convey strong emotions. And there is a sentence by which you can clear that what is actually the hyperbole. I have told you a million times to clean your room. So in this sentence, the it has been said that million time. So how can it possible that a person tell million time? So that is just the uh, exaggeration of this sentence. To clean your room. So here the speaker hasn't actually said it a million times, but they want to stress that they have mentioned it often. Hyperbole is a rhetorical device that involves exaggerated statement or claims not meant to be taken literally. It's used to create emphasis or effect. Here are some examples of hyperbole in various contexts. So I added lot of example in this hyperbole just for the purpose to understand the hyperbole. Okay, so the first one, these lines has been taken from literature. That is a very famous play of Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. So the statement is that, and you can say the context that uh, 1,000 times good night. Juliet exaggerated the express to express how much she wants to keep saying good night to Romeo. So that is also the explanation of hyperbole. Thousand time good night. So how can this possible? 1,000 times is much more. So that is just the exaggeration. There is also text. In To Kill a Mockingbird of Harper Lee, people moved slowly, then they ambled across the square, shuffled in or out of the store around it, to their took their time about everything. That is also example of exaggeration, or we can say that example of hyperbole, conveying the slow, relaxed piece of life in the town, everyday conversation. So how we use in everyday conversation this hyperbole? So the first sentence is, I am so hungry I could eat a cow. So how can how can possible for a person that he can eat a cow. So that is also the example of exaggeration, hyperbole, emphasizing extreme hungry. I have told you a million times to clean your room. So that is the old example which I explained. Here the speaker hasn't actually said it a million times, but they want to stress that they have mentioned it often. The best coffee in the world. So how can it possible that the somebody is making a coffee which is best in the world? There could be more as well, but for emphasizing, this statement has been given. Companies often use hyperbole to claim their product are the best. So that is the purpose for advertisement. And this car can save your thousands. While saving are possible, the amount is likely exaggerated. Okay, so the next example, that player is unstoppable. That player is unstoppable. So that is also the example of hyperbole. Not player is truly unstoppable, but the commentator is emphasizing the player's exceptional skill. So in the next example, we will see the crowd went wild. While the crowd may be excited, they are not literally going wild. He is running faster than the speed of light. Speed of light is a kind of like nobody can beat it. But for the purpose to emphasize the running, it describes someone running very fast. She has got a 10 ton of homework. She has got a ton of homework. The amount of homework isn't literally a ton, but it is a lot. Hyperbole is a common and powerful tool in language, often used to create vivid images or convey strong emotions. So that is the purpose of hyperbole. Now we will see the understatement. So that is the first in the number. Understatement is a literary device used to display the significance or intensity intensity of something, often for ironic or comedic effect. It involves presenting something as less important, less serious than it actually is. Here are some examples of understatement with explanation and usage in these sentences. Okay, so now you can learn that what kind of understatement devices. I have to have this operation. It is not very serious. I have this tiny little tumor on the brain. So that is a very serious issue the person has, but he is understatement the situation by saying that it's a tiny tumor. So here the speaker uses understatement to minimize the seriousness of their medical condition. Perhaps it alleviate worry, or alleviate mean pacify worry, or to downplay the reality of their situation. So now we will see in the next example. Okay, so in the second example, the weathers are bit inclement. Inclement mean cold today. So the explanation is this understatement could refer to a stormy or severe weather condition playing down its impact. So the weather is a bit clement today. It rained a bit more than usual. So the statement is a bit more. Okay, so now we will see that what kind of the original statement. First of all, we see the original. After the week-long storm that flooded the streets, look at this irreal situation. She said it rained a bit more than usual. So that is also understatement. This understatement might refer to a severe flood, downplaying the extent of the rainfall. So in the next example, it's just a scratch. So now we will see that it is like a scratch or something else. So the real text from the literature, even though his arm was bleeding profusely, he insisted it is just a scratch. So that is also, you can see that is understatement. This understatement might be used when referring to a more serious injury, downplaying its severity. So now we will see in the example 5. He is not the worst cook. So the original statement, after tasting the burnt or undercooked meal, she diplomatically said, he is not the worst cook. This understatement implies that someone is actually a very poor cook without stating it directly. Literary example. In Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Mr. Bennet comments on his wife's excessive nerves. You mistake me, my dear. I have a high respect for your nerves. They are my old friends. In explanation, Mr. Bennet uses understatement to humorously downplay Mrs. Bennet's constant anxiety and exaggeration. Another example of the same novel, quote, I am perfectly convinced by it that Mr. Darcy has not defect. He owns it himself without disguise. Explanation. Elizabethan Bennet ironically understates Mr. Dempsey's pride by saying he has no defect, highlighted his arrogance. So after hearing so that is the original statement. After hearing the Mr. Dempsey's self-assured confession, Elizabeth dryly commented, I am perfectly convinced by it that Mr. Darcy has no defect. So next example, it is just a little water, more or less. So what was the real situation? As they flooded down the mighty river, Hawk remarked, it's just a little water, more or less. So that is the original statement. Now we will see the explanation. Mr. Mark Twain's The Adventure of the Huckleberry Finn. Huck is referring to the Mississippi River, downplaying its vastness and power by calling it just a little water. So now we will see the effect and purpose. Purpose and effect. Understatements serve several purposes in writing in conversation, irony and humor. It can create irony by emphasizing the difference between what is said and what is actually meant, leading to a humorous effect. Emotional restraint. It can be used to maintain composure or to avoid outstating emotion or situation that might be sensitive or difficult. Cultural norms. It in some cultures, understatement is a stylistic choice that reflect modesty or humility. Overall, understatement is a versatile literary device that adds nuance or complexity to language, allowing speakers and writers, or we can say poets, to subtly convey meaning while inviting interpretation and reflection from the audience. Alliteration. So here we will learn the alliteration, that is number 6. The repetition of the initial consonant sound in a series of words. Okay, so the first example, she sells by the seashore. So now there is a kind of s word is coming in this sentence. So now we will see that here is repetition of consonant. Alliteration is a literary device where the same consonant sound is repeated at the beginning of the closely connected word. It is used to create rhyme, mood, or emphasize in both poetry and prose. Here are some examples of alliteration with explanation and usage in sentences. Example in literature: the rhyme of the ancient mariner, that is the writer is the Coleridge. Example: the fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the furrow followed free. So now you have seen the F sound and the B sound is repeating in this sentence. The repetition of the F and B sound creates a rhythmic and musical quality, emphasizing the movement and freedom of ship. So the second example is from Shakespeare play Macbeth. Example: fair is foul and foul is fair. That is very interesting play. I want to say that fair is foul and foul is fair, hovered through the fog and filthy air. The repetition of F sound emphasizes the theme of the deception and the unsettling atmosphere. Example in sentences. So now you can see that the silent sea softly shimmered under the silver room. So here you can see the visible S sound in the sentence. The repetition of the S sound creates a soothing and tranquil mood, emphasizing the imagery of the sea. Peter Piper picked up peck of pickled peppers. Explanation: the repetition of the P sound makes this sentence playful or memorable, typically of a tongue twister. Bright birds bathed in the bubbling brook. so you can easily understand and take the B, that the repeating sound is B in this sentence, and B is consonant. The repetition of B sound creates a cheerful or lively image of birds enjoying the water. So now we'll see some example from poetry. So example in poetry, The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtains. The repetition of the sound, or say that sound S added to and suspenseful atmosphere of the poem. Explanation and usage. So what are the explanation and what is the usage of this device? Alliteration serves several key purposes in writing. Rhyme and musicality. It adds a musical quality to the text, making it more enjoyable to read and listen to. Mood and atmosphere. The repeated sound can help set the mood or tone to the tone of a piece. For example, soft consonant like S can create a soothing or mysterious mood, while harsh consonant like T or K can create a tense or energetic atmosphere. Emphasizes. By repeating certain sound, writers can draw attention to specific words or themes, making them more memorable. Unity and cohesion. Alliteration can tie together different parts of these sentences or sentence or stanza, creating a sense of unity and cohesion. Alliteration is a versatile literary device that enhances the texture and auditory appeal of language, enriching both poetry and prose with its rhythmic and resonant qualities. So that's all from my side. And if you want this content, so you can go to my website, and inshallah ta'ala in next video I will explain some more literary devices. Thank you so much.